Hey, I'm Josh McQueen, and today's discussion thread is on the relevance of Western civilization. Make the case as to why the concept of Western civilization is relevant for today. So, the scholarly debate over what constitutes Western civilization has continued for decades. According to Lawrence Birkin in his article, What is Western Civilization?, defining the exact scope of Western civilization has become a political football in recent years, and very few historians have attempted to define its full temporal and spatial dimensions. So, where exactly are the limits of Western civilization? Although the precise boundaries of Western civilization remain debated, its relevance to the modern world is far less questionable. Western civilization has had a profound impact on world history, particularly through its evolving concept of freedom. As Alexander Rosenthal Pubel argued in his reflections on ancient and modern freedoms, one of our other articles, Western civilization is distinct among world cultures in the special value that it places on freedom. The idea that is rooted in Greco-Roman thought and Christian thought remains one of the defining modern features of the West. However, much like the debated definitions of the Western world, the concept of freedom is also ill-defined. For the ancient Greeks, they defined freedom one way. Freedom was, as a concept, differed greatly from what the Enlightenment thinkers believed. For the Greeks, freedom was a person's sense of rational and virtuous self-mastery. Free speech and free debate were an aspect of developing this mastery of yourself, but philosophers like Socrates argued that freedom had limits. For Socrates, he noted that freedom without moral foundation could easily degenerate into license. As Christianity spread through the ancient Near East and through Europe, the concept of freedom took on a Christian spiritual meaning centered on liberation of sin through Christ. According to St. Paul, freedom was a salvation from sin, which man was unable to achieve on his own and could only be liberated through the intervention of Jesus Christ. As time progressed, philosophers began to notice how one's autonomy of choice often became limited by the state. So the varying government body of wherever you lived was limiting your freedoms. This led to Enlightenment and revolutionary figures pushing back against repressive states, declaring how man's independence is of their right absolute, and man has sovereignty over himself, over his own body, and over his mind. This idea began to spread throughout Western countries, with the idea becoming very prominent in the American colonies, especially during the Revolutionary period. After the United States declared their freedom and other countries began to follow the example of the United States, the Western idea of freedom was adopted into a whole number of governing documents. These ideas spread even faster as the English language spread globally, bringing with it a series of Anglosphere customs and institutions. Those competing understandings basically still shape modern Western political and moral debates. Alexander Rosenthal Pubel in the essay we read earlier about, what one was his? Reflections on Ancient and Modern Freedom, he emphasized that, quote, the vices decried by Western religious and social conservatives in modern liberal society, such as the disdain for human life reflected in abortion culture, the spread of euthanasia, the mass industry of pornography and promotion of hedonism and violence in popular culture, and the breakdown of the family, all those things seem to be consequences of an inadequate concept of freedom which fails to relate it to any broader conception of good. This means that the current moral struggles that are facing the Western world seem to stem from the aimless definition of what exactly modern freedoms are. And these modern freedoms are no longer sustained by the backing of virtue. In that sense, Western civilization remains relevant because its central debate over what exactly freedom is, virtue, and human flourishing, what freedoms humans have, are still relevant to this day. Thank you so much.